All right. Welcome, everybody. State of Arrest. I'm here with Drew Atria, the world famous 30-year veteran public defender in and for Broward County. I'm a criminal defense attorney in Broward County, and been doing it about 20 years. Drew, we got a couple things going on right now. We got Comey in the news, and we've got this Bill Cosby trial, which I'm not really following, but as would be expected in jury selection, race was a huge issue. Prosecutors were trying to strike the black jurors, and as we know, it's easy to come up with that race neutral reason, right?
Well, I think so.
I think so too. I think that you ask enough questions and you're going to come up with someone. You almost have to be a lawyer to avoid it.
True.
Yeah.
And they're prepared before they get started to have race neutral explanations, because they know in the beginning when they're starting, they want to take out all African Americans they can who might side with Mr. Cosby.
Right. I've seen that before. It's almost like there's a list of basic things that almost anybody would answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you just ask questions long enough and you're going to get them.
Right. And if they're planned, it works out. You get the answers you seek.
Yeah. I've had the occasion to be in trial, and the prosecutors come up with their race neutral reason for striking a minority, and the reason was present, testified to, or spoken to by three other majority white jurors, and they didn't move to strike them, of course, and no consequence. But it's the one reason that I did look into this is because I've got a big sex case trial coming up, and those are never comfortable. They're never easy. Mm-mm. And I actually wanted to talk to you about, off the show, of course, about how best to question the jurors about a particular issue that I don't want to get into.
Okay.
I remember that you had a case a while ago where
right,
really tough case, and the jurors, you have to assume, are against you in a sex case right off the bat when you first meet them in voir dire.
Yep.
That's jury selection. And you turned them around right from voir dire.
It was God-given. I had no idea how to start.
It just came to you.
It came to me.
As you stood up.
As I stood up.
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when those rare moments that happens,
right,
year after year. Will you tell everybody about it? Tell me about it.
Sure.
It's a great story. I love it.
I had a young roofer, black African American, who was charged with raping his daughter. He was in jail. I went to meet him. It was a first-degree felony punishable by up to life. And I asked him if his daughter was going to say these things in court.
Testify against him, accuse him as a victim.
I showed him what the police report said. And he looked out into space thinking, and he said, I don't know, but I love my daughter. Boom. Right away he was innocent. I said, this guy's innocent. He didn't do this. I knew it. I just believed it. And it turned out that he was found not guilty, and we can talk about how that happened. Little backstory on what happened with her. She was running the streets. She was caught having sex under the portable in school, middle school. She was caught in the brook by the principal having sex. And the father was trying to curtail that, by keeping her in, and she knew if she could eliminate him.
And the promiscuity at a young age is considered an indicator or a cue or a red flag, according to a psychologist at the department, right? But kids are just promiscuous these days.
That's all. And so she said that her father had sex with her when he did not. So through the course of discovery, I came to find out her grandmother came in, and she was a little frail, maybe 80-pound, little old 89-year-old black lady with a walker. And during the deposition, she goes to me, you can't trust that child. You can't believe that child. I said, would you say that in court? She said, well, now, I don't like Lewis, but I ain't going to lie. So we get to the panel.
Was it his mother?
I don't remember. No, it wasn't his mother.
Wife's mom.
Wife's mother. We get to the
It actually makes her more credible, doesn't it? I don't like Lewis, but...
But I ain't gonna lie.
Got it.
So we get to the panel, and the judge does 30 minutes of announcing the same last name, female. His jury selection. The state does their 30, 40 minutes. The whole time, no one in the panel. We're sitting to their left. So
no one would look at you.
They would have to turn their heads to look at us because we're facing the judge, the state's on the other side facing the panel. So it's the panel and the state, us and the judge. No one would look at us. I felt like I was covered in slime.
And jurors always look at you,
So
and the defendant in a case that doesn't evoke this much passion, sympathy, and bias in a jury. But
And of
you
course-
catch them and they look away. They think they're doing something wrong or they don't want to make eye contact.
Right.
But it's
Right. And you get a feeling for them, at least, because you can look in their eyes for a few seconds.
Yeah, and that's a bad sign when nobody's looking at you or the defendant, right?
I knew that every one of them had him guilty. And so the judge goes to defense, are you ready? So I stand and I go to the lectern, and I'm walking to the lectern, Ryan, and I'm thinking, but he's innocent. But he's innocent. And I start out by saying just like this, I'll do it just like it was the panel, if the camera was the panel. I go, it doesn't get any worse than this. There's murder, there's kidnapping, but it doesn't get any worse than this. Almost like I'm talking to myself because I'm not really making eye contact with them. And I get the feeling that the panel is starting to think, wait a minute, isn't this the defense attorney? What the heck is he saying?
That's effective, right? When you go up there and then I know you threw them that curve.
I'm exploring it as it's happening. It's coming out of my mouth for the first time. It's through my head into my mouth and out my mouth. But then I go, but there is one thing worse than this. Who knows what it is?
And they're all listening because they think you're sounding like you're advocating for the state, right? Doesn't get worse than this.
They can't understand what I'm saying.
Got all their attention.
It sounds like my client's guilty. So person to my left goes, if you get convicted. And I think, yeah, that's pretty bad, but that's not it. Someone else in front of me goes, if you go to prison. Now you got to realize I have no idea what they're going to say. So I say, yeah, that's pretty bad, but that's not it. And as I'm into that person, someone over here goes, if you're innocent. And I went, that's it! And I got goosebumps then, I got them now. And it was like I had a string attached to 14 jurors' heads.
And a light switch just went off.
And they all in unison, you could hear them gasp inwardly, go, oh. And they all turned and looked at my client, Lewis. And I knew I won.
You knew at the very least they were going to take their job seriously. Opposed to, I knew I won. I knew I won. What I'm trying to say is those people, those jurors, had him guilty in their minds. Of course, in a sex case like that involving a minor child in middle school, she must have been under the 14.
And I think what they did was they felt like, oh my God, I'm not giving this guy a fair chance, and he may be innocent.
Right. So at the very least, you knew you were going to get a fair trial. They were going to start off, I've got a big decision to make here. I've got to live with this decision if he's innocent.
Yeah, I didn't say not guilty. I didn't say he didn't do it. I said he's innocent.
Right. And normally that's something you stay away from as a criminal defense attorney because that's not something that you check on the box. That's not something a juror checks on the box or the foreman or everybody voting. It's not. There's not a vote of innocent, but that's a powerful word to use under the right circumstances, for sure.
And I've used something similar in cases where I would say that, because I've learned, if I say something to you or anyone that you know the follow-up answer, you're going to hear it in your head, it's not going to have an impact, and it won't make any difference. For example, I tried this once. If I asked you about this and I said all American citizens are presumed innocent, everybody hears presumed innocent. They hear it a ton of TV, whatever. One time I said to myself, let me get them to talk about it by reversing it. And I said, what if I were to say to you, all American citizens are presumed guilty?
Guilty.
And
had to prove their innocence.
All you do is you leave it like that, and there's 2 or 3 of them, their heads are going to jerk. And then you jump on them and you say, Mr. So-and-so, I just saw your reaction to that. What's wrong with that? They're presumed innocent. Oh, come on, you don't believe that. Sure I do. You do? Come on, tell me why. You get them to talk about presumed innocent and why they're presumed innocent. Now you say, Miss So-and-so, you just heard Mr. Brown say that they're presumed innocent. You don't believe that, do you? You do. Why? Come on. And you do it to 3 or 4 people. And what happens is they start to explain presumed innocent. No, none of us want to be told what to think. So if I can get them to talk about it by reversing it, and then use their words when I'm in closing, if they sit, they're saying to themselves, he listened to me, he believed me, he understood me, and I'm committed to presumed innocent. So we're going from innocent to you got to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right. Anybody that's accused of a crime is presumed guilty gets that, well, you're so used to hearing
presumed innocent.
An accused individual, anybody who walks into a court as a defendant is presumed innocent. It's almost like snaps, things like that, snapping jurors into focus and getting them to listen and become part of the conversation and part of the process is key. Number one, for sure.
And I read a book called Made to Stick by 2 brothers. One was the writer, one was a Stanford professor. He studied what made ideas sticky for 10 years with his students, and they found out a simple formula. It's based on the acronym of success: simple, unexpected, concise, compact stories.
Unexpected.
Simple, unexpected. So they weren't expecting me to reverse it, because anytime, I must have done 300 trials, maybe more. I keep hitting the mic, sorry. That's going to sound good to the people. I must have done it, so many times where I would say it, I say presumed innocent, everybody, do you believe for presumed innocent? Oh yes.
Oh yeah, sure, I can be fair and impartial, everyone.
They know the answers.
Yeah. They know the answers.
Because we're in a venue where there's a man sitting up higher than all of us in a black robe, and there's a prosecutor sitting across from us. We're 14 or 15 different people we've never met before in a public venue, admitting or saying things that we expect that the attorneys and the judges want to hear. So when I reversed it like that, I got them to defend presumed innocent by making as if I was like, come on. And they knew I was pulling their leg a little bit. You don't believe that. You do. Tell me why. And then I would ask them, how do you feel about it? Now, if you get them to tell you, see, we all make our decisions with our hearts. You get the heart through imagination. And they make decisions through their hearts, but they rationalize them, all of us, with our minds. So if I got your heart, when you go back to argue or decide, deliberate, you're going to use the rationales, perhaps the words I've used, the facts I've shown, and to rationalize your opinion. Once I get your heart, I got you.
And that's a great way to get a juror's heart, the whole panel's heart, is to hit them with that unexpected, quick, simple, concise,
compact idea. It's a story.
And then if they get involved in the discussion by thinking and agreeing with what you've proposed or presented before them, the nervousness that everybody walks into a courtroom with, whether you're a presumptive panel, a bailiff, the attorney, the defendant, obviously, as they're talking about it, that leaves them. And I think that they love the person and remember the person, the lawyer that got them there.
Mm-hmm. And
they're also looking for that awakening again throughout the whole rest of the process. Whoa, this person really got my attention. Almost like why you keep watching a TV show or go see a sequel, because something in the story grabbed you, right? And you wait for it to happen again. And if you can get the jurors to listen to you, you can establish reasonable doubt, unless if you have no defense at all. And even then, convince them that the state hasn't proven their case.
That's right. And the idea behind it is that we may not remember what someone tells us, but we never forget how we make them feel. So if I'm going for their heart, I'm coming from mine. And if you can do that, you're bonding on a level that's not even conscious. You follow me?
Absolutely.
And so if I can make them feel comfortable.
I've talked with you about this sort of thing. We've had many discussions about it. What really matters when it comes to who's sitting on your criminal trial. And great insight over the years.
Yeah, because it just happens. I'm an excellent reader of people. I just study it all the time, psychology. I read everything I can on it, face reading and so forth. And I know that if I can get their hearts, they're going to go back and make they just got microphone again.
Give it a soccer rating.
I know it's going to make them, they're going to go back and make my arguments. And the end of the thing, and the reality of it is that I tell them, it says, when you go back, you're going to find a verdict form. It's not going to say, it's going to say not guilty or guilty. And the word it's not going to say innocent. And that means not proven guilty or proven guilty. Was it proven or wasn't it? And all I really want to know, I've done a jury selection where I talk to people about their backgrounds, their personalities, their families. If you could change one thing about yourself, improve one thing about your parents when you were younger, improve one thing about your life, etc., without asking any about the burden of proof, etc. And then I went to sit down at the table, and I pulled a Columbo. Is that a little bit for you? The rumpled old
Columbo.
detective.
Just one more question. Hey, Drew, before you go, just one more question.
Yeah, what's one more thing?
How come your car wasn't in the parking lot
That's
this
the
morning for court?
That's the whole case.
Of the courthouse.
So as I was sitting down, I stopped and I said, "Oh, by the way, and I didn't say it like Columbo, but is there anybody here who, if the state didn't prove this case, would have any trouble voting not guilty?" And of course, it's almost like you have their heads on a string again. They all shake their head and go, "No." And I'm in the middle of sitting down. And I went, "I didn't think so." And I sit down. You see, you trust them.
I'm going to do the Columbo.
You trust them.
In my next trial. Maybe not my next one. My next one's pretty big. But and I'm going to do the voice. Oh, wait, Drew, before we go, what was the verdict on the case with Lewis? And I don't trust Lewis, but I wouldn't believe anything she said.
Yeah, the verdict was not guilty.
Of course it was.
And the best payment I ever got was Lewis stood up. He's a big bear of a man, about my height though, and he throws his arms around me, gives me a bear hug, and says, "I love you."
I feel like every time I win a punishable by life felony, I should get an "I love you" from my client and their family, and a Christmas card every year, and a birthday card.
And I said to him, "I love you too, Lewis."
That's great. That feels so good.
It was the best.
It's the best, right?
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Getting the not guilty, of course, that's exhilarating, and sometimes you just know, but it's when you get that love from the client and see it all leave them, especially when either they aren't guilty or innocent, can't be proven guilty, or if they're being overcharged or attempted to be oversentenced for a specific crime. That's a whole different story.
But I had never been told by a client that they loved me.
Really?
Right in the courturn.
I find that hard to believe. You've helped a lot of people.
I know, but sometimes they bolt right out the door. They're so glad to get done.
Right. Well,
turn around. Where is he?
I think that's probably the difference. I do remember getting less love when I was a government lawyer.
Yeah.
And as opposed to...
well, if you don't pay for something, it can't be any good.
Right.
It can't be very good.
No, please. 2001. Broward County public defenders. Some of the best criminal defense attorneys were working for Al Schreiber there. That was a great time to be a public defender. I was a public defender as well, as you know. I came over from the state. Al Schreiber, God bless him, hired me from the state. That was awesome.
Yep.
And gosh, there were some hot shots. Drew, thanks.
Thank you,
Until next
Brian.
week.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
buddy.